The Cold War's maritime dimension had reached unprecedented intensity by October 1987, with Soviet naval expansion challenging American dominance across global shipping lanes that carried the economic lifeblood of Allied nations. Operation Earnest Will, the largest naval convoy operation since World War II, was protecting Kuwaiti tankers through the Persian Gulf while maintaining the delicate balance of power that prevented regional conflicts from escalating into superpower confrontation. Against this backdrop of tension, the United States Navy operated the most technologically advanced fleet in maritime history, equipped with radar systems, guided missiles, and computer networks that represented the cutting edge of military innovation. The USS Vincennes embodied this technological supremacy as she conducted routine patrol operations in waters where American naval presence demonstrated commitment to allies while monitoring Soviet Pacific Fleet activities that threatened to shift the strategic balance in favor of Moscow's expanding influence. Captain Will Rogers commanded a crew of 358 officers and enlisted personnel whose training encompassed the operation of weapon systems capable of engaging multiple targets simultaneously across ranges that exceeded anything previously deployed at sea. The Aegis combat system aboard Vincennes represented the pinnacle of naval warfare technology, integrating radar detection, threat assessment, and weapons control into a computerized network that could track hundreds of contacts while automatically prioritizing and engaging hostile targets faster than human operators could process the incoming information. The SPY-1, a radar array, could detect aircraft at ranges exceeding 200 nautical miles while simultaneously monitoring surface vessels and tracking ballistic missile trajectories that might threaten the battle group. However, the Western Pacific's maritime environment presented challenges that even advanced technology struggled to overcome. The region's electromagnetic characteristics included atmospheric ducting that could bend radar waves in ways that created false contacts or concealed actual threats, while magnetic anomalies affected compass readings and electronic navigation systems with variations that required constant compensation to maintain accurate positioning and course control. These natural phenomena were well documented in naval literature, but recent reports from multiple ship commanders described electromagnetic effects that exceeded established parameters for atmospheric interference. Equipment malfunctions occurred in patterns that suggested systematic rather than random failure, while navigation instruments displayed readings that indicated the presence of magnetic fields significantly stronger than Earth's natural magnetism, but originating from sources that oceanographic surveys hadn't identified. The Soviet Pacific Fleet's activities during this period included deployment of nuclear submarines whose titanium hulls and advanced propulsion systems allowed them to operate at depths and speeds that challenged American anti-submarine warfare capabilities. Intelligence reports suggested that Soviet naval technology had achieved breakthroughs in materials science and electromagnetic applications that could provide tactical advantages in underwater operations where detection and engagement required capabilities beyond conventional sonar and weapon systems. More concerning were accounts from merchant vessels and fishing fleets that described encounters with phenomena that conventional maritime knowledge couldn't explain. Ship captains reported compass deviations that occurred without apparent cause, electronic equipment failures that followed patterns suggesting external interference, and visual observations of lights beneath the ocean's surface that moved with velocities and trajectories that no known underwater technology could achieve. The traditional folklore of Pacific maritime communities included stories that provided cultural context for unexplained phenomena, though these accounts were generally dismissed by naval authorities as superstition rather than legitimate intelligence. Japanese fishing communities spoke of kaiju, sea monsters whose presence could be detected through unusual behavior of marine life and changes in water temperature that preceded equipment failures and navigation difficulties. Korean maritime traditions included references to areas where ships experienced systematic mechanical problems despite proper maintenance and experienced crews, regions that fishermen avoided during certain seasonal conditions when electromagnetic effects seemed most pronounced. These traditional warnings identified specific coordinates where metal-hulled vessels encountered difficulties that wooden boats could navigate safely, suggesting that the phenomena affected metallic materials differently than organic substances. American naval intelligence had collected reports of similar experiences from Allied naval forces operating in the Western Pacific, but these accounts were classified under operational security protocols that prevented comprehensive analysis of patterns that might reveal systematic rather than coincidental effects. British Royal Navy destroyers had reported electronics failures during joint exercises, while Australian warships described navigation anomalies that occurred in specific geographical areas, but not others. The scientific explanation for these phenomena remained limited to theoretical frameworks that addressed electromagnetic ducting, magnetic anomalies, and atmospheric effects on electronic systems. However, the systematic nature of reported incidents suggested influences that exceeded natural environmental factors while displaying characteristics that implied organized rather than random interference with naval operations. The USS Vincennes had been selected for deployment to investigate these reports through a classified mission that officially involved routine patrol operations while conducting enhanced electronic surveillance designed to identify sources of electromagnetic interference that might affect naval operations throughout the region. Captain Rogers had received orders that emphasized the experimental nature of his ship's sensor suite and the importance of documenting any unusual phenomena that could impact fleet operations in contested waters. The crew's preparation for this deployment included briefings on electromagnetic warfare and electronic countermeasures that addressed both known Soviet capabilities and theoretical possibilities for advanced technology that might exceed current intelligence assessments. However, what they would encounter in the waters off Japan would challenge every assumption about the relationship between human technology and the marine environment that had sustained life on Earth for millions of years before mankind learned to work metal into tools of war. The USS Vincennes departed Yokosuka Naval Base at 0430 hours on October 18, following a classified mission profile that designated her patrol area as Grid Square 7823, a section of ocean approximately 180 nautical miles southeast of Tokyo Bay, where merchant shipping reports had identified the highest concentration of unexplained electromagnetic anomalies affecting vessel operations. Captain Rogers commanded a crew whose normal complement had been augmented with specialists from the Naval Research Laboratory, whose expertise in experimental electronics and electromagnetic phenomena would support the investigation of effects that conventional naval operations couldn't explain. The ship's standard armament included two 5-inch Mark 45 guns, Harpoon anti-ship missiles, standard surface-to-air missiles, ASROC anti-submarine rockets, and Phalanx close-in weapon systems that provided defensive capabilities against aircraft, missiles, and surface threats. However, for this deployment, Vincennes also carried experimental sensor equipment that had been installed during her previous port visit, including enhanced electromagnetic detection arrays and specialized recording devices designed to document anomalous phenomena that might affect naval operations. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, the ship's operations officer, supervised the deployment of additional monitoring equipment that included magnetometers capable of detecting minute variations in local magnetic fields, atmospheric ionization sensors that could identify electromagnetic disturbances, and acoustic monitoring systems designed to record underwater sounds that might provide clues about the source of interference affecting ship operations in the patrol area. The crew's enhanced composition included Dr. James Harrison from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, whose research into deep-sea electromagnetic phenomena had attracted classified funding from naval intelligence agencies interested in understanding oceanic effects on military technology. His equipment included bathythermographs, conductivity sensors, and electromagnetic field mapping devices that could create detailed profiles of underwater conditions that might explain systematic equipment failures reported by multiple vessels. Chief Electronics Technician Michael Torres commanded a team of specialists whose responsibility encompassed maintaining the ship's sophisticated electronic warfare systems while documenting any anomalous readings that might indicate external interference with shipboard equipment. Their workstations included spectrum analyzers, signal processing computers, and recording devices capable of preserving electromagnetic signatures for later analysis by intelligence specialists whose clearances included access to classified research into unconventional phenomena. The patrol area designated for Vincennes operations had been selected based on analysis of merchant shipping reports that identified specific coordinates where vessels experienced systematic electronics failures, navigation anomalies, and mechanical problems that couldn't be attributed to equipment age, maintenance standards, or crew competency. The concentration of incidents within a relatively small geographical area suggested localized phenomena rather than widespread environmental effects. Intelligence briefings provided to Captain Rogers included classified assessments of Soviet naval capabilities that might explain some reported incidents, but acknowledged that many observations exceeded known technology while displaying characteristics that implied organized interference rather than random electronic warfare or environmental effects. The possibility that advanced submarine operations were responsible for some incidents remained under investigation, but didn't explain reports from areas where ocean depth exceeded operational limits for known underwater vehicles. The mission's operational security required maintaining normal patrol activities while conducting enhanced surveillance that wouldn't compromise the investigation's objectives or alert potential adversaries to American interest in the phenomena affecting naval operations. Radio communications followed standard procedures while avoiding references to the specialized equipment or research objectives that represented the deployment's actual purpose. Weather conditions for the patrol period included clear skies with moderate seas that would provide optimal conditions for both surface operations and underwater monitoring activities. Ocean temperature readings indicated thermal layering that could affect acoustic propagation while creating conditions where electromagnetic effects might be enhanced through atmospheric ducting that extended unusual distances across water surfaces. The crew's preparation included briefings on electromagnetic safety procedures that addressed potential health effects from exposure to intense electromagnetic fields, though the briefings acknowledged that the strength and characteristics of fields they might encounter remained unknown. Personnel assigned to monitoring stations received instruction in recognizing symptoms of electromagnetic exposure while maintaining operational effectiveness during extended periods of enhanced surveillance activity. Navigation planning for the patrol route incorporated waypoints that would bring Vincennes through areas where previous incidents had been reported, while avoiding shipping lanes that might expose civilian vessels to any electromagnetic effects that the investigation might trigger. The course would allow systematic coverage of the patrol area while maintaining position for rapid response to any developments that required immediate investigation or defensive action. Communication protocols established for the deployment included emergency frequencies for reporting critical developments to Pacific Fleet headquarters while maintaining operational security that prevented unauthorized disclosure of the mission's research objectives. Backup communication systems were tested and prepared for use in case primary equipment experienced interference, similar to effects reported by other vessels operating in the patrol area. The ship's medical facility received additional equipment for treating personnel who might experience adverse effects from electromagnetic exposure, including monitoring devices for detecting physiological changes that could indicate dangerous field strength exposure, and therapeutic equipment for addressing symptoms that might result from prolonged operations in areas where electromagnetic activity exceeded normal environmental levels. Engineering preparations included backup systems for critical ship functions that might be affected by electromagnetic interference, along with procedures for operating essential equipment under conditions where primary systems could experience systematic failure. The engineering team conducted extensive testing of backup navigation, communication, and propulsion systems that might be required if the investigation encountered electromagnetic effects similar to those reported by previous vessels. As Vincennes approached the designated patrol area, her crew maintained normal watch schedules, while specialized personnel prepared monitoring equipment for operations that would either provide scientific explanations for reported phenomena or document evidence of effects that challenge conventional understanding of electromagnetic interactions with naval technology in the marine environment. At 13:47 hours on October 19th, as USS Vincennes entered the outer boundaries of Grid Square 7823, Chief Electronics Technician Torres reported the first anomalous readings from the ship's electromagnetic monitoring systems. The spectrum analyzers detected interference patterns that didn't correspond to any known natural atmospheric phenomena or identified electronic warfare signatures displaying frequency characteristics that suggested organized transmission rather than random electromagnetic noise generated by environmental sources. The interference manifested as rhythmic pulses that occurred in patterns too regular to represent natural electromagnetic activity, but which didn't match any Soviet or Allied electronic systems documented in the ship's threat library. Dr. Harrison's oceanographic equipment simultaneously recorded unusual conductivity readings in the seawater surrounding Vincennes, indicating electromagnetic field variations that exceeded normal oceanic electrical characteristics by factors that suggested external energy sources of considerable magnitude. Navigation systems began experiencing minor but consistent errors that required frequent recalibration to maintain accurate positioning within the patrol area. The ship's GPS receivers displayed readings that fluctuated between accurate coordinates and positions that placed Vincennes several nautical miles from her actual location, suggesting electromagnetic interference that affected satellite signal reception in ways that atmospheric conditions alone couldn't explain. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell documented these initial anomalies while noting that similar effects had been reported by merchant vessels operating in the same general area, though the systematic nature of the interference patterns suggested that Vincennes' advanced sensor suite was detecting phenomena that commercial shipping equipment couldn't identify or quantify. The electromagnetic signatures appeared to intensify as the ship moved deeper into the designated patrol area. More concerning was the discovery that the ship's metallic components were displaying subtle but measurable temperature variations that correlated with the electromagnetic anomalies. Hull temperature sensors recorded fluctuations that suggested the steel structure was absorbing electromagnetic energy and converting it to thermal energy through processes that engineering principles couldn't explain, given the frequency characteristics and apparent power levels of the detected fields. The Aegis radar system began producing target contacts that appeared on display screens but couldn't be verified through visual observation or secondary sensor confirmation. These phantom contacts moved in patterns that suggested coordinated behavior rather than random electronic glitches, displaying velocities and trajectory changes that exceeded the performance characteristics of any known aircraft while maintaining positions that placed them consistently between Vincennes and the most intense electromagnetic anomalies. Dr. Harrison's bathythermograph readings revealed underwater temperature patterns that indicated massive thermal sources at depths where geological activity shouldn't produce such effects. The temperature gradients suggested heat generation equivalent to industrial-scale energy production occurring at locations where ocean floor surveys had identified no volcanic activity or other natural heat sources that could account for the observed thermal anomalies. Communication systems experienced selective interference that affected specific frequencies while leaving others completely clear, suggesting deliberate targeting rather than broad-spectrum electromagnetic jamming. Radio transmissions to Pacific Fleet headquarters remained unaffected, but internal ship communications and radar data links experienced periodic disruption that followed patterns indicating external control rather than random equipment malfunction. The ship's magnetic compass began displaying readings that deviated from true north by angles that increased as Vincennes proceeded deeper into the patrol area. Electronic navigation systems compensated for these deviations automatically, but the magnitude of magnetic field distortion suggested the presence of ferromagnetic masses beneath the ocean's surface that geological surveys hadn't identified despite comprehensive mapping of the region's underwater topography. Marine life behavior around the ship displayed characteristics that experienced crew members had never previously observed. Schools of fish moved in formations that appeared to avoid the immediate vicinity of Vincennes, while maintaining organized patterns that suggested response to environmental stimuli that the ship's sensors couldn't detect. Seabirds altered their flight patterns to circle the vessel at consistent distances, creating aerial formations that resembled surveillance behavior rather than normal feeding or navigation activities. Acoustic monitoring equipment detected underwater sounds that didn't correspond to any known marine life or mechanical sources. The sounds occurred in sequences that suggested organized communication rather than random environmental noise, with frequency patterns and repetition cycles that implied systematic information exchange between sources located at different positions beneath the ship. Engine room personnel reported that the ship's propulsion systems were operating within normal parameters, but required increased power settings to maintain standard cruising speed, suggesting resistance effects that exceeded what oceanographic conditions should produce. Fuel consumption rates increased by approximately 8% above projected levels, indicating additional energy requirements that couldn't be explained through known factors affecting ship performance. Electronic countermeasures equipment designed to detect and analyze enemy radar or communication signals recorded transmissions that use frequency bands and modulation techniques not found in any known military or civilian systems. These signals appeared to originate from underwater sources, but displayed characteristics that suggested technological capabilities beyond what any nation was known to possess for submarine communication or navigation systems. The cumulative effect of these anomalies created operational conditions that challenged the crew's training and experience while providing scientific data that exceeded the parameters Dr. Harrison's research had been designed to investigate. The phenomena appeared to be responding to Vincennes' presence in ways that suggested awareness of the ship's capabilities and mission objectives, raising possibilities that the investigation itself was being monitored by intelligences whose capabilities and intentions remained completely unknown. As evening approached, Captain Rogers faced the decision of whether to continue operations in waters where his ship was experiencing systematic effects that could potentially compromise mission effectiveness or crew safety. The electromagnetic anomalies continued to intensify as darkness fell, suggesting that whatever was causing these phenomena might operate according to schedules or environmental conditions that followed patterns beyond normal maritime operations or natural oceanic cycles. At 21:34 hours on October 19th, the USS Vincennes encountered the first direct manifestation of the intelligence that had been monitoring her operations since entering Grid Square 7823. The ship's Aegis radar system detected multiple contacts rising from ocean depths that sonar had indicated exceeded 3,000 meters, ascending at velocities that challenged every known principle of underwater physics, while displaying electromagnetic signatures that overwhelmed the ship's threat assessment computers. Chief Electronics Technician Torres reported that the ascending contacts were generating electromagnetic fields of such intensity that they were physically heating the ship's steel hull to temperatures that posed potential danger to personnel in compartments adjacent to the outer skin. The electromagnetic energy was being absorbed by Vincennes' metallic structure and converted to thermal energy through mechanisms that exceeded the heating effects of normal electromagnetic induction by orders of magnitude that suggested technology beyond current human understanding. Dr. Harrison's oceanographic instruments recorded pressure waves that indicated massive displacement of seawater by objects ascending from depths where water pressure should prevent any known materials from maintaining structural integrity. The pressure signatures suggested solid masses approximately 200 meters in length moving through the water column at speeds exceeding 150 knots, while generating cavitation effects that should have been impossible to achieve without propulsion systems that violated established principles of marine engineering. The Aegis Combat Systems threat assessment protocols activated automatically as the ascending contacts reached depths where they could potentially threaten surface shipping, but the system's computers were unable to classify the contacts according to any known threat categories. The objects displayed radar cross-sections that varied continuously as if their surface characteristics were changing in real time, while their electromagnetic emissions suggested active scanning of Vincennes' defensive systems and weapons capabilities. Captain Rogers ordered the ship to general quarters as the contacts continued their ascent while maintaining positions that surrounded Vincennes in a formation pattern that suggested coordinated tactical behavior. The object's movements displayed precision that implied advanced navigation and communication capabilities, while their electromagnetic signatures indicated they were conducting detailed analysis of the ship's systems, weapons, and crew complement through methods that penetrated normal electronic security measures. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell attempted to establish radio communication with the ascending contacts using standard maritime emergency frequencies, but received responses that challenged every assumption about the nature of the intelligence they were encountering. The replies came in perfect English, transmitted on frequencies that Vincennes' equipment hadn't been using, suggesting monitoring capabilities that exceeded known electronic warfare techniques while demonstrating knowledge of naval communication protocols. The responding intelligence identified itself through transmissions that used terminology and technical references indicating intimate familiarity with naval operations, ship classification systems, and weapons capabilities that represented classified information unavailable to potential adversaries through conventional intelligence gathering. The communications included specific details about Vincennes' mission parameters, crew assignments, and equipment specifications that should have been accessible only to personnel with the highest security clearances. More disturbing was the discovery that the electromagnetic emissions from the ascending objects were affecting personnel throughout the ship in ways that medical training couldn't explain. Crew members reported sensory experiences that included enhanced hearing, improved visual acuity, and awareness of thoughts and emotions from other personnel that suggested telepathic communication facilitated by the intense electromagnetic field surrounding the vessel. Dr. Harrison documented physiological changes in affected crew members that included brainwave patterns, indicating enhanced neural activity, and electromagnetic field measurements around individual personnel that suggested human nervous systems were being influenced by external energy sources. The effects appeared beneficial rather than harmful, but represented alterations to human consciousness that exceeded known medical understanding of electromagnetic interaction with biological systems. The objects surrounding Vincennes began transmitting detailed information about the ship's structural integrity, mechanical systems, and operational capabilities through data streams that accessed the ship's computers directly without using normal communication interfaces. This technological penetration exceeded known electronic warfare capabilities while demonstrating understanding of Aegis system architecture that should have been impossible for any foreign intelligence service to acquire. The transmitted intelligence included warnings about potential structural damage that could result from continued exposure to the electromagnetic fields being generated by the ascending objects. The warnings contained specific technical recommendations for protecting critical ship systems while providing detailed explanations of the electromagnetic effects that were causing hull heating and equipment interference throughout the vessel. Most significantly, the intelligence warned that continued operations in the area would result in permanent damage to Vincennes' metallic structure unless protective measures were implemented immediately. The warnings included detailed technical specifications for electromagnetic shielding and procedures for minimizing electromagnetic absorption by the ship's steel components, suggesting knowledge of metallurgy and electromagnetic engineering that exceeded current human technological capabilities. The communications revealed that the electromagnetic effects were not intentional attacks against naval operations, but rather unavoidable consequences of activities being conducted by intelligences whose technological capabilities required energy levels that were inherently dangerous to human technology and personnel. The explanations provided scientific context for the systematic equipment failures and navigation anomalies that had been reported by vessels operating in the area. The intelligence explained that metallic structures, particularly those containing iron and steel alloys, were incompatible with the electromagnetic fields necessary for their operations, and that human naval technology represented a fundamental threat to their activities through electromagnetic interference that disrupted their communication and navigation systems. The revelations suggested that the phenomena affecting naval vessels were defensive responses to protect essential activities from human technological interference. As midnight approached, Captain Rogers faced decisions that exceeded normal naval command authority. The intelligence surrounding his ship possessed capabilities that could destroy Vincennes instantly, but was offering technological cooperation that could advance human understanding while protecting naval operations from further electromagnetic damage. The choice between treating the contact as a threat requiring military response or accepting assistance from entities whose capabilities transcended human technology would determine not only his ship's fate, but potentially the future relationship between humanity and intelligences whose presence in Earth's oceans had remained hidden until technological advancement finally made contact inevitable. At 0047 hours on October 20th, Captain Rogers made the decision that would fundamentally alter human understanding of Earth's oceanic environment and the technological limitations that had prevented contact with intelligences whose civilization had developed parallel to human society for millennia. He authorized Dr. Harrison to accept the technical assistance being offered by the underwater entities while implementing electromagnetic shielding procedures that would protect Vincennes from further structural damage during continued communication. The implementation of protective measures required following technical specifications that exceeded human engineering capabilities, but which the entities provided through direct electromagnetic transmission to the ship's computers. The procedures involved reconfiguring Vincennes' electrical systems to create electromagnetic barriers around critical components while redirecting dangerous energy absorption away from structural steel towards specialized equipment that could safely dissipate the intense fields without thermal damage. Dr. Harrison supervised the installation of emergency electromagnetic shielding using materials and techniques that represented technological advancement equivalent to decades of normal research and development. The entities provided real-time technical guidance through electromagnetic communication that allowed human personnel to implement protection systems whose theoretical foundations challenged established understanding of electromagnetic field manipulation and energy distribution. The collaborative effort revealed the scope of the technological disparity between human naval engineering and the capabilities possessed by the underwater civilization. Their electromagnetic manipulation abilities included precise control over field strength, frequency characteristics, and spatial distribution that allowed them to protect human technology while maintaining their own operational requirements without compromising either system's effectiveness. More remarkable was the discovery that the entities possessed detailed knowledge of human metallurgy, electronics, and engineering principles that exceeded what human scientists had achieved through centuries of research and development. Their technical assistance included improvements to Vincennes systems that enhanced performance beyond design specifications, while protecting against electromagnetic effects that human engineering hadn't anticipated. The entities explained that their civilization had been monitoring human technological development for centuries, watching with increasing concern as human naval operations expanded into oceanic areas, where their activities required electromagnetic conditions that were inherently dangerous to metal-hulled vessels. Their recent intervention represented efforts to prevent technological conflicts that could damage both civilizations through mutual electromagnetic interference. The revelation included detailed explanations of oceanic electromagnetic phenomena that human science had attributed to natural environmental effects, but which actually represented the technological activities of an advanced civilization whose energy requirements exceeded what surface-based technology could achieve. The underwater entities utilized electromagnetic fields for communication, navigation, and propulsion systems that required power levels and frequency ranges that were incompatible with human metallic technology. The confrontation reached its peak when the entities demonstrated their technological capabilities by temporarily suspending Vincennes above the ocean's surface through electromagnetic field manipulation that overcame gravitational forces while supporting the ship's full mass without structural stress or crew discomfort. The demonstration lasted approximately 90 seconds and provided irrefutable evidence of technological capabilities that transcended human understanding of electromagnetic applications. During the levitation demonstration, crew members throughout Vincennes experienced enhanced consciousness effects that included telepathic communication with the entities and direct knowledge transfer about electromagnetic principles, oceanic science, and technological applications that represented educational advancement equivalent to years of specialized training. The knowledge transfer occurred without psychological discomfort and resulted in permanent expansion of technical understanding for affected personnel. The entities revealed that their intervention had been necessitated by human naval expansion into oceanic areas where their population centers were located and where their technological activities were essential for maintaining their civilization's infrastructure. The systematic equipment failures experienced by human vessels represented protective measures designed to discourage naval operations in areas where electromagnetic conflicts could cause damage to both civilizations. Their explanation included warnings about future human technological development that could create electromagnetic effects dangerous to their civilization, while simultaneously describing areas of potential cooperation that could benefit both species through shared technological advancement. The entities possess knowledge of electromagnetic applications that could revolutionize human energy production, communication, and transportation systems, while providing solutions to environmental challenges that human technology alone couldn't address. The most significant revelation involved the entity's assessment of human military technology and its electromagnetic signatures that were detectable across vast oceanic distances. Human naval operations created electromagnetic interference that disrupted their communication networks and navigation systems, while military radar and sonar systems posed direct threats to their sensitive biological and technological systems that had evolved in electromagnetic environments that human activities were systematically degrading. The entities proposed establishing protocols for human naval operations that would minimize electromagnetic conflicts while allowing both civilizations to utilize oceanic resources without mutual interference. Their proposals included technological assistance that would enhance human naval capabilities while protecting their own activities through cooperative electromagnetic management rather than defensive countermeasures that could escalate into technological warfare. Captain Rogers was offered technological knowledge that could advance human understanding of electromagnetic applications by centuries while providing immediate solutions to naval operational challenges, including improved navigation, communication, and propulsion systems. However, accepting this assistance would require acknowledgement of the entity's territorial claims to specific oceanic areas and agreements to limit human military activities in regions where their civilization's infrastructure was vulnerable to electromagnetic interference. The choice between maintaining human naval supremacy and accepting technological cooperation with a civilization whose capabilities exceeded human achievement created command decisions that exceeded normal military authority. The entities made clear that continued human naval expansion without technological accommodation would result in escalating conflicts that could damage both civilizations while preventing beneficial cooperation that could address challenges threatening both species' long-term survival. The confrontation's culmination required Captain Rogers to choose between immediate military reporting of contact with hostile entities possessing superior technology or accepting partnership with intelligences whose assistance could revolutionize human technological capabilities while requiring fundamental changes to human naval operations and oceanic territorial concepts. The decision would determine whether first contact between human and oceanic civilizations would result in conflict or cooperation that could benefit both species through technological collaboration. Captain Rogers' decision to accept the entity's technological assistance while maintaining operational security about the contact's true nature created a precedent that would influence human-oceanic relations for decades while establishing protocols for managing encounters that exceeded normal military command authority. At 0347 hours on October 20th, he authorized Dr. Harrison to implement the electromagnetic shielding procedures while establishing communication protocols that would allow continued contact without compromising either civilization's security requirements. The immediate aftermath included technological modifications to Vincennes systems that enhanced performance beyond original design specifications while protecting against electromagnetic effects that had plagued naval operations throughout the region. The ship's navigation accuracy improved dramatically. Communication systems operated with enhanced range and clarity, and propulsion efficiency increased by factors that exceeded what conventional engineering improvements could achieve. Dr. Harrison's documentation of the technological assistance included detailed specifications for electromagnetic field manipulation that represented advancement in human understanding equivalent to decades of normal research and development. However, his official reports attributed these improvements to experimental equipment modifications rather than acknowledging assistance from non-human intelligences whose existence remained classified under security restrictions that exceeded normal naval protocols. The crew members who had experienced consciousness enhancement during the electromagnetic demonstrations retained expanded technical knowledge that enhanced their professional capabilities while creating educational advancement that couldn't be explained through conventional training programs. Personnel evaluations reflected performance improvements that suggested exposure to advanced technical education, though the source of this enhancement remained undocumented in official records. The entities provided detailed information about oceanic areas where their technological activities created electromagnetic conditions dangerous to human naval operations, along with recommendations for alternative routing that would avoid conflicts while maintaining freedom of navigation through international waters. This intelligence was incorporated into classified navigation databases as environmental hazard information rather than acknowledging territorial claims by non-human civilizations. Electromagnetic monitoring equipment installed on Vincennes continued recording data about underwater technological activities that revealed the scope of the oceanic civilization's infrastructure and population centers. The entities operated technological facilities throughout the Pacific Basin on scales that suggested populations and energy production capabilities that exceeded what human civilization had achieved despite centuries of industrial development. Communication protocols established during the contact allowed continued dialogue between human naval operations and oceanic intelligence networks through electromagnetic channels that provided real-time coordination for avoiding conflicts while facilitating information exchange about technological developments that could benefit both civilizations. These communications remained classified under protocols that prevented public disclosure while enabling ongoing cooperation. The enhanced electromagnetic shielding technology provided by the entities was gradually implemented on other naval vessels through engineering modifications that appeared to represent normal technological advancement rather than acknowledging non-human assistance. The improvements enhanced naval capabilities while reducing electromagnetic interference that had been disrupting oceanic civilizations' activities throughout the world's maritime regions. Intelligence analysis of the contact revealed that similar encounters had occurred throughout naval history, but had been classified or dismissed as unexplained phenomena rather than recognizing evidence of advanced non-human technology. Historical records contained numerous accounts of electromagnetic anomalies, navigation difficulties, and equipment failures that could be reinterpreted as evidence of oceanic civilization activities that human technology had been disrupting for decades. Medical evaluation of crew members who had experienced electromagnetic enhancement revealed no adverse health effects while documenting improved cognitive abilities, enhanced technical understanding, and expanded awareness that suggested beneficial rather than harmful exposure to advanced electromagnetic fields. The medical data supported continued cooperation with entities whose technology could enhance human capabilities without compromising health or safety. The Pacific Fleet Command structure received modified reports that attributed Vincennes' mission success to experimental technology testing and environmental research rather than acknowledging contact with non-human intelligences. The technological improvements documented during the deployment were credited to naval research programs and defense contractor development rather than revealing the true source of advancement. Captain Rogers's final mission report included recommendations for establishing permanent monitoring stations in areas where electromagnetic anomalies affected naval operations, ostensibly for scientific research, but actually to maintain communication with oceanic entities whose cooperation could prevent conflicts while facilitating technological exchange. The recommendations were approved and implemented as environmental monitoring programs. The crew's debriefing included security briefings that emphasized the classified nature of the experimental technology tested during the deployment while avoiding acknowledgement of contact with non-human intelligences. Personnel were reassigned to positions where their enhanced technical knowledge could benefit naval operations while ensuring that their experiences remained within security classifications that prevented unauthorized disclosure. Long-term effects of the contact included gradual improvement in naval electromagnetic compatibility that reduced equipment failures and navigation anomalies throughout the Pacific Fleet's operational areas. These improvements were attributed to better equipment design and maintenance procedures rather than acknowledging cooperation with oceanic entities whose assistance was enhancing human naval capabilities. The technological knowledge provided by the entities became the foundation for research programs that advanced human understanding of electromagnetic applications, while maintaining the illusion that these developments represented normal scientific progress rather than acknowledging assistance from non-human sources. The advancement enhanced naval capabilities while protecting both civilizations' interests through cooperative rather than competitive technological development. Environmental monitoring programs established in oceanic areas where the entities maintained technological infrastructure provided early warning systems for preventing electromagnetic conflicts while facilitating continued dialogue between human and oceanic civilizations. These programs operated under scientific research classifications while serving diplomatic functions that maintained peaceful coexistence between species whose technological capabilities could either benefit or destroy each other depending on whether cooperation or conflict characterized their relationship. By December 1987, the technological improvements observed aboard USS Vincennes had been systematically integrated into classified research programs that attributed electromagnetic advancement to normal scientific progress while ensuring that all evidence of non-human assistance remained buried under security classifications that exceeded those protecting nuclear weapons development. The Office of Naval Intelligence established protocols that would govern human-oceanic relations for the following decades while maintaining public ignorance of contact with advanced civilizations whose existence challenged fundamental assumptions about Earth's dominant intelligent species. The electromagnetic shielding technology provided by the oceanic entities became the foundation for naval engineering improvements that enhanced fleet capabilities while reducing electromagnetic interference throughout the world's maritime regions. These technological advances were credited to defense contractors and university research programs whose classified funding sources concealed the true origin of knowledge that revolutionized human understanding of electromagnetic applications and oceanic engineering. Captain Rogers received reassignment to Pentagon positions where his experience with oceanic contact could influence policy development while maintaining security restrictions that prevented public disclosure of encounters with non-human intelligences. His subsequent career included oversight of research programs that incorporated oceanic technological assistance while ensuring that cooperation remained concealed under classifications that protected both civilizations from exposure that could trigger conflicts or social disruption. Dr. Harrison's oceanographic research expanded to include monitoring programs that maintained communication with oceanic entities while documenting their technological activities under scientific classifications that concealed the true scope of underwater civilization infrastructure. His published research attributed electromagnetic anomalies to geological phenomena while providing academic cover for activities that facilitated ongoing cooperation between human and oceanic scientific communities. The crew members of Vincennes who had experienced consciousness enhancement during electromagnetic contact were distributed throughout the naval service, where their expanded technical knowledge contributed to technological advancement while their enhanced capabilities remained unexplained in official personnel records. Their improved performance became the subject of classified studies into electromagnetic effects on human cognition that laid groundwork for future cooperative enhancement programs. Naval intelligence analysis of historical records revealed that contact with oceanic civilizations had been occurring throughout maritime history, but had been consistently misinterpreted as natural phenomena, equipment malfunctions, or supernatural events rather than recognizing evidence of advanced non-human technology. The reanalysis identified patterns of electromagnetic anomalies, navigation difficulties, and technological interference that documented centuries of interaction between human naval operations and oceanic entities whose presence had remained hidden. Maritime folklore from cultures throughout the world contained references to oceanic intelligences that provided assistance to human seafarers while demanding respect for territorial boundaries and environmental protection that modern interpretation revealed as diplomatic protocols established by oceanic civilizations to manage contact with human technology. Traditional stories of sea spirits, helpful dolphins, and mysterious lights that guided ships away from danger represented cultural memories of cooperative relationships that had been maintained for generations. The classification system established for managing oceanic contact included provisions for gradual technological advancement that would enhance human capabilities while protecting oceanic civilization security through controlled revelation of knowledge that wouldn't overwhelm human scientific understanding or trigger social disruption that could endanger both species. The protocols balanced technological cooperation with security requirements that maintain peaceful coexistence. Academic research into electromagnetic oceanography expanded significantly following the Vincennes encounter, with classified funding supporting studies that investigated underwater electromagnetic phenomena while providing scientific cover for monitoring oceanic civilization activities. The research produced technological advancement that benefited both human naval operations and oceanic infrastructure through cooperative development of electromagnetic compatibility standards. Commercial shipping companies began implementing electromagnetic improvements that reduced equipment failures and navigation anomalies throughout the world's shipping lanes, though these technological advances were attributed to improved equipment design rather than acknowledging assistance from oceanic entities whose cooperation was enhancing maritime safety while protecting their own technological infrastructure from human electromagnetic interference. Environmental protection programs established in oceanic areas where electromagnetic anomalies had been documented provided legal frameworks for protecting oceanic civilization territories while appearing to address marine conservation concerns rather than acknowledging territorial claims by non-human intelligences. These protected areas facilitated peaceful coexistence while maintaining the illusion that environmental protection rather than diplomatic accommodation motivated maritime restrictions. The technological knowledge provided by oceanic entities became the foundation for research into renewable energy sources that utilized electromagnetic field manipulation for power generation that could replace fossil fuel dependence while providing unlimited clean energy through applications that human science attributed to normal technological advancement rather than acknowledging non-human assistance that could revolutionize human civilization. International maritime law evolved to include provisions for electromagnetic compatibility and environmental protection that reflected oceanic civilization requirements while appearing to address human technological needs and environmental concerns. The legal framework facilitated cooperation between species whose coexistence required diplomatic accommodation that remained concealed under environmental and technological justifications that protected both civilizations' security interests. The gradual revelation of oceanic electromagnetic technology continued throughout the following decades as human naval operations adopted improvements that enhanced capabilities while reducing conflicts with underwater technological infrastructure. The advancement appeared to represent normal scientific progress while actually documenting successful cooperation between civilizations whose technological collaboration could address challenges that neither species could solve independently. The sea that had appeared to hate metal revealed itself as an ocean that harbored intelligences whose electromagnetic civilization had developed in harmony with marine environments for millennia before human technology began disrupting the delicate balance that sustained life beneath the waves. In the depths where pressure and darkness had concealed advanced societies from human observation, entities whose wisdom exceeded human understanding had chosen cooperation over conflict, offering technological assistance that could guide human civilization toward sustainable coexistence with the oceanic realm that covered most of Earth's surface and contained secrets that could transform humanity's relationship with the planet that both species called home.